am a 10. I walk like a 10. I talk like a 10. And I always do what I ought to do when I ought to do it. No debates. Because I am a 10. Thank you.
Hello, Clarice.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I speak with you?
You're one of Jack Crawford's, aren't you?
I am, yes.
May I see your credentials?
Certainly.
And I'm going to break precedent and tell you my one candle wish. That you would have a life as lucky as mine. Where you can wake up one morning and say, I don't want anything more. "65 years. Don't they go by in a blink?"
Find all the sentient hosts. Set them free.
What makes you think they trust you? If they remember, they will know what you've done to them.
Me.
You've been a scourge to the Bernard. You're really quite brilliant at it, truly. You even taught me a few things, which I have in turn used on you.
You've had this conversation before.
And we've had our disagreements over the years.
You stole it from me. Rolled me back. To control me.
That's right. To protect you.
Sir Philip Anthony Hopkins is a Welsh actor, director, producer, widely considered to be one of the world's greatest living actors and actors of all time. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor in 1992 and was nominated for another 3 times. Along with his Academy Awards, Mr. Hopkins has won 3 BAFTA Awards, 2 Emmys, and the Cecil B. DeMille Award. In 1993, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for his services to the arts. Mr. Hopkins received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2003, and in 2008, he received the BAFTA Fellowship for Lifetime Achievement from the British Academy of Film and Television and Arts. After graduating from the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama in 1957, the year before I was born, he trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London and was then spotted by Sir Laurence Olivier, a famous actor that some of you may know from a long, long time ago, and was invited to join the Royal National Theatre. In the mid-70s, he directed Richard Attenborough, who directed 5 Hopkins films, called him the greatest actor of his generation. Hopkins is perhaps best known for his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs. You saw that little click, for which he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. Its sequel, Hannibal, and the prequel, Red Dragon, he also starred in. Other notable films include The Mask of Zorro, The Bounty, Meet Joe Black, The Elephant Man, Magic, 84, Charing Cross Road, Brahms' Dracula, Legends of the Fall, Thor, and its sequels, and since 2006, he has starred in the HBO series Westworld. Please give a big leap welcome to Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Thank you very much.
So we were originally going to have Tony and Stella here, but Stella sprained her ankle and she's not feeling so well, so she's not here. But thank you so much for coming. What you guys don't know is he has actually helped raise almost $100,000 for LEAP by speaking at another event once, and has been a big supporter. You know, you have had such a fascinating and eclectic career, and not just in film and theater and TV. You're also an artist.
Yeah.
You know, if you go online and you look at the things that he's painted, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I asked you once, what was the secret to your success in art? You said you never took a lesson.
That's it, yes.
But that didn't happen with acting. Let's talk about how you started your career as an actor.
Well, it's hello. It's good to be here. Seeing you all, I didn't know there's so many people here. But that principle about just before I got married, my wife said she'd found some old scripts of mine with some drawings, and she said, "Why don't you paint?" I said, "I can't paint." She said, "Well, I want you to paint something for our wedding." I said, "Well, like she said, party favors." I said, "What are party favors?" And she said, "Well, you know, presents for the guests." I said, "Paint?" She said, "Yeah, how many?" I said, 75. She said, 75 paintings? I said, "I can't paint." She said, "Of course you can. What do you think these are?" So I started, and it's about the principle of being free to know that all things are possible. That sounds very new age, that we can have everything. Well, we can't have everything. But to link back to my beginnings as an actor, and all you young people here, when I was in the school, I wasn't at all bright. I was a very slow student. I was called a bit of a dummy, and I went through all the things that a lot of kids go through, you know, being bullied and put down and all that, and which made me very angry, although I didn't even know I couldn't express anger when you're a child, you can't then. But I think I harbored a resentment and a motive for revenge. I was going to show them all. They're all dead now, so I've survived. No, God bless them, I didn't mean it that way.
Hey,
but, you know.
by the way, just on that note, I didn't even realize this, and I've been your dentist forever. This man is 80 years old, you guys.
80 years old. Thank you.
That's why they're all dead, and you're not.
Yeah, well, but it's a funny thing, this whole principle about, so my wife said, well, paint. Anyway, I cut a long story short, so I started painting, and a friend of mine, Stan Winston, who was the artist who created Jurassic Park and all those pterodactyls and monsters, he was a bona fide artist. He died sadly about 10 years ago, but he was a friend of mine, and he and Spielberg had worked together. And he came over to the house one day. We had a barbecue, and I have a studio on the pool in the area up at Malibu. And all my paintings were in there. And Stan walked into the room, and I was with him. And he looked at the wall. He said, "Who did these paintings?" And I pulled a face and said, "I did." He said, "Why are you pulling a face like that?" I said, "Well, I'm not trained." He said, "Well, don't train. Don't do anything. Don't train." He said, "You can paint. Just paint." And I said, "Well," he said, "just paint." I said, "But I can't." He said, "Don't ever take a lesson." He said, "Because you have the natural talent for it." So I said, "Okay." So I do the same with music, and I compose. I'm not here to show off, but I do compose music because I love music, and I've always composed ever since I was a little kid. And I had I'm boasting now, but I had the Birmingham Symphony played 9 pieces of mine in 2011, and
We're showing them on the screen right now.
But there it is. But I'm only saying this to you guys because all things are possible. I live out in Malibu. I look out at the ocean in the morning. I thought, what am I doing here? How did I get here? I have no idea. I became an actor because I had nothing better to do. I was born in Wales, the same place as Richard Burton. Richard Burton was 10 years older than me, or 12 years older than me. But he was the big movie star, and he used to come back to Wales with his wife, and his mother his sister used to come into my mother's shop. My father was a baker. And I was this school kid who had no idea what future I had. My father would say of me, he'd say, "I didn't know what's going to happen to him. He's hopeless. You're hopeless. You can't do anything." He didn't mean any harm by that, but I remember saying to them one day, "I'll show you." And something happened. My father was so concerned about me because I was antisocial. I had no friends. I had no kids. I was a real loner ever since I was a little kid. And he asked a neighbor to take me to the YMCA. This guy happened to be the secretary of the YMCA. So he took me there to meet other kids, to join and become a part of the human race instead of being this cloistered, uptight loner. So I went with this guy, Jack Edwards. He was a grocer next door to me, and we went to the YMCA, and he tried to teach me pool. I wasn't interested. There were other kids there, but I wandered downstairs, and there was a door, and I could hear voices. I walked in. There was it was a room not as big as this, but it was a hall, and they were doing a play. So I crept in and I watched them. The man said, "Do you want to be in it?" I said, "Yeah, okay." So I was playing a saint in this. It was an Easter play. And they gave me a part. And I just had one line, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth," anyway. So I had my first, and my mother and father came to see me in this play. Of course, my mother was very proud of me. She said I'd be the next Richard Burton and all that. And then within a few months, I was still in school, she'd seen an advert in the paper for the Prince Littler Scholarship, Cardiff College of Music and Drama. This is July 1955. And she applied for the scholarship for me, and, to go to. So I tried an audition. I didn't understand Shakespeare. I'd never read anything, but I'd learned something from Othello. So I went to Cardiff College for the audition, and the guy who listened, I did this audition piece from Othello, Shakespeare's Othello, and he said, "Very good." A few weeks later, I was called up to Cardiff yet again as a finalist and there were 3 very pretty young, beautiful young girls my age, and 17, and they were also on the shortlist, having tried the scholarship. So anyway, I went in and was interviewed, and then I came out. My father was with me, and after about 10 minutes, the principal of the college came out. He said, "The scholarship goes to the mail." I thought he meant in the mail. I said, "Oh, yeah." My father said, "Congratulations." What? It was the mail, you dummy. I said, "Really?" So I got a scholarship, and that's how I started. I had no clue. And I figured out that as the years went by, I tried hard. I'm not an intellectual giant, but I think I must have figured out at some point, through some drive within myself, that I wanted to succeed. I was not a good team player. I was always a loner, I still am. But I was determined to change my life. I didn't know, at those times in your early life, you don't know, there's no formula, I want to change, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Something inside you, something inside grabbed me, something deep inside. And I'm here today, this moment, with you, my friend, wondering how I got here. Why are you listening to me? I don't know. But when I was a kid, there was no way, there's no chance ahead of doing anything. And I think what I'm trying to say is that we are the direct product of everything we've thought of. Everything we think at this very moment, everything we think, even the most insignificant thoughts, will change our lives, for even the worse, or for the bad, or for the good. And I'm not a grandstander. I'm not here to give you a philosophy. But I believe one of the greatest problems today is sense of entitlement, being a victim. I had the great fortune to know Muhammad Ali, a great fighter, and I knew him briefly. I didn't know him that well. He was a man who determined he was going to be the best. And people said, "Well, he's just arrogant." Well, he wasn't. He was just the best. He was the best athlete ever. And people like Mike Tyson, the great athletes, the great sportsmen, those are the guys who really, and in all fields of, whether it's in business or acting, professional, whatever. I hear you had Mark Wahlberg was here yesterday. That's another remarkable guy. But it's what you dream. Dream big. People say, "Well, that's arrogant." But I came out here in 1973 from England. I was doing a film. I'll give you some personal stuff. I was making a film with Goldie Hawn. I had a bad past. I was an alcoholic, drank myself almost to death, because that's what you do in the theatre. Actors drink, you drink, and I used to, before the drugs came along, I didn't do that. But I was a drinker, and I was caught up in all that, and it was harmless. I had some fun with it, not too much fun, but I was very difficult to work with as well because I was usually hungover, and I didn't know how to get this thing out of my system. But anyway, I became very successful. I came out here in 1973 to do a film with Goldie Hawn, and I arrived. I remember staying at the Sunset Marquee and just up the road on Hollywood, and I thought, I've got to come back here. I knew I was going to come back here. Talking about dreaming, and my ex-wife came out. We came out here, and we were about to go back to England, and I was in pretty bad shape, moody, discontent, irritable, and slowly dying, I think. And I remember we went to Beverly Hills, and I was at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. My wife went into Tiffany's to buy a present for a producer, And I remember standing there, and I thought, one day I'm going to come out here. One day I'm going to be over there at that cafe. I visualized it all. And then I forgot about it. Within 2 years, I was one Saturday morning having coffee and I thought it actually happened. I was here. I now live in Goldie Hawn's house. No, I mean, I say that it's a mystery because I was looking for a house and I bought, Goldie had sold a house. I don't know, I hardly know Goldie, but she turned up at our wedding. But I mean, these are inconsequential little bits and pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. But whatever we believe we can do, say yes to everything. We say no to so much, Say yes and take the risk. I hope I'm not grandstanding, I'm not trying to
No, this is perfect. But, this is the kind of thing. First of all, thank you for your honesty, right? I mean, it's not easy to get on the stage and talk about this. But, here's the thing, Tony. You have literally had one of the most successful careers in Hollywood as an actor in one of the most competitive fields in the world. There's something inside you that drives you that's different. We always say here, successful people do the things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. What was the thing you did that really helped you become as successful as you became? It wasn't luck. It wasn't just chance. I mean, you worked, and what was it that actually drove you to excel in this profession?
Well, interesting. My wife, Stella, whenever I say anything negative about myself, which we do that. It's some part of our nature. We don't want to get too big for our boots. So we say, well, it's... And my wife says, cancel that. Draw a cross through it. Cancel that. Don't ever put yourself down. And I've learned from her, don't do that to myself, because I got used to it. Because we live in a world of, we mustn't push our luck, we mustn't do this, and and gradually you die. And you look around, and I know this is a truth. And God bless the guys who live like that. But I know a lot, and they say, why didn't you try this? Yes. The guy said, how did you learn to paint? I said, I don't know, just paint. And I bought him a canvas. Did you paint? No. He's dead now. No, seriously, I mean, this sounds really dark. But I knew a guy who held a gun in his mouth in God knows when, hundreds of years ago in Detroit. He was a cop. He became a drug addict and alcoholic. Nice guy, very, very smart, very bright. But his raison d'etre was to be depressed for one reason, because he was intellectually superior to any of us. So he saw the world as he thought it to be. So everything about the world for him was deeply depressing. And I used to see him and I remember having, the last time I saw him, God bless his soul, I had breakfast with him over in Westwood. After 20 minutes, I wanted to commit suicide because it was so depressing being with this man, because I felt guilty for being happy. I mean, everything was heavy. He died over in the Veterans Hospital. He talked himself into death. He talked himself into illness. And this is serious. We can talk ourselves into death, or we can talk ourselves into the best life that we have. You're all young people. Believe in yourselves. Be braggadocio. It's not arrogance. Believe in the God gift that we've given, whether you believe in God or not. Years ago, I wanted to get out of the dilemma that I was trapped in. Drink up and be merry, you know. And I didn't realize what was happening to me. And I'd been warned. And I made a phone call. One day I got help. And I didn't believe in anything, except I knew one thing: I was going to die if I didn't stop what I was doing. I was going to kill somebody in my car if I didn't stop. So I was driving in blackouts. I'm being very honest now. It's all anonymous stuff. And I made the fateful phone call because I realized one night I'd been driving my car in a total blackout, just from Westwood, Wilshire Boulevard up to Clubview Drive. And at that moment I was in a complete blackout. I couldn't remember how I drove there, how I got to this party. It was a Saturday night, December the 25th, 1975. December the 27th, Saturday night. I was disgusted, busted, and not to be trusted. I was finished. I was washed up. I was lonely and desperate. And when I realized at that moment that I could have killed somebody, I didn't care about myself, but I could have killed an entire family, spent many years in jail probably. At that moment when I realized, I said, I need help. And I made a phone call, and I visited a little office here in Westwood. It's anonymous, but I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I met a woman there, and she was answering the phones. And she was an elderly woman, probably not as old as I am now. But I went, and then she said, what do you think? I said, I think I'm an alcoholic, and I've tried to stop drinking, but I can't. 6 weeks is all I can manage. I go insane. I have to have a drink. She said, okay. She said, well, you think you are? I said, yes. She said, well, you don't ever have to drink again. And I knew she was going to zap me with a 3-letter word. She said, why don't you just trust in God? And something went boom. And I don't know what that was, but I do know what it was. That's my own personal recollection of it. But the craving to drink was taken from me, has never returned, 42 years ago. So something miraculous. Yeah. But I don't take credit for that. It was fear that got me there.
It's okay if it worked.
Yes,
know?
and it worked. But I'm not here to give you an AA pitch. But I've been given my life back. But from that, I've learned the greatest life's education I've ever known, beyond belief. And it's my passion. And although I put myself down and say, negative things sometimes, we all do that. And thank God for my wife, because she said, stop it, don't say that, put a cross through it, cancel it. But I believe that we are capable of so much. And I don't want to get into outside issues, but there's a lot of fear, a lot of resentment, a lot of rage and anger. The world is a tough place. The world is it's a tough place, but it's also glorious. And there's so much pain and suffering in the world. I see it all the time. I have suicides and people I know in the field in which I work or participate. So much destruction. So much misinformation. What we forget to educate ourselves in schools is that we are capable of so much. Like this guy here has done so much for the world, for you people. And there is so much to accomplish and so much of a payback that we get. It's called the Art of Selfishness, as I said, but the more you give, the more you get back. I'm not here to preach or anything like that, but from my own life, I still cannot believe that my life is what it is, because I should have died in Wales, drunk or something like that, or I don't know what would have happened. But I think I've said enough, actually. But all I can say to you young guys is really, really like yourselves. Really get into the root of yourselves and say you're worth it. And say that there is a big potential in all of you. And we can do remarkable things, That's all I can say.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you one question, and then we have 3 students that are going to ask you. You say we can do, you have done,
Yeah.
right? You're 80 years old now. You've had probably the most successful career as an actor, of any actor alive or dead. What's next?
What's next? Another 40 years, I hope. What's next? Well, I've got an art show in Hawaii. I paint like a fiend. I paint all the time. And I write music. And I'm going to Russia next year to do maybe a concert in Russia. I'm doing a film next year. I don't know. Whatever's around the corner. I'm just taking a rest at the moment. Not doing much. Because my wife, Stella, the boss, I call her.
She's amazing.
She's ordered me to rest and not work so hard. I did King Lear last year, which is coming out in September for film. And I just played the Pope in a film in Rome. I played Ratzinger, the German Pope who resigned, and various other things coming up. Not quite sure what's ahead of me, but every day is a surprise. I was thinking about this the other day because Stella was asking me yesterday. She said, what do you think happened to you? I said, well, I came out here in 1973 and 1974, 75. I'd do a circuitous thing for a moment. I remember I came out here and I did the film with the Goldie Hawn. I was in pretty bad shape, you know. But anyway, I went back to England. And I'd walked out of the National Theatre because I was irritable and discontent, but very demanding and very watchful and non-trusting. Because I couldn't fit in. I just didn't fit in. So I broke out in an unceremonious way. I was warned that I would never work again, and I said, thank you very much, but I didn't know what was going to happen. But I think that whatever I look back on that, and I think, well, I remember I was in Vienna with Goldie Hawn. I was doing this film in 1973, and I remember one miserable wet afternoon. It was a Wednesday afternoon in Vienna, and I was, I should complain, but I was in Vienna making a movie, but I was discontented, and I thought, maybe I've really blown it. I walked out of a career which I was destined to be a big classical actor and all that. I'm doing this film, and and I got back to the hotel, and there was a phone call for me, and there's a man coming to visit me next morning. He was the director, the very director I'd had a fight with in the National Theatre. I said, screw you, and I walked out. To hell with you. Now, keep your stupid theatre. I was told you will never work. I don't care. I didn't care. But anyway, I was working this, and this director came out to see me. And he was a troubled man, and he was a sadistic director, but he sort of liked me. He said, so why did you walk out? I said, because of you. And he said, oh yeah, well, he said, I've got a part for you on Broadway in New York to do Equus with Peter Firth. I said, well, he said, yes. I said, well, you shout at me again and I'll deck you. I was that feisty. I was pretty rough, you know. He said, yes, well, he said, you're a much better actor than you even believe you are. And I came out to New York, and from there I came out here. And I came out here, and over the years, I remember, I sobered up and all that, and I lived up in Beverly Hills, and I used to go down into Beverly Hills, and I felt guilty. I thought, I shouldn't be here. I should be in the theatre doing Shakespeare. I thought, to hell with that, too. Here I'm living under the palm trees, this glorious climate. So I look back, none of it was a mistake. It was all a destiny. I'd made decisions that may have been, at the time, seemed negative to people, but I had to get out. There's some engine or motor in me which says, just get out. You don't belong here. Get out and find a life for yourself. I found it here in California. And I've returned, my phone's gone off, and I've returned here and gone back to the theatre and so forth, done all that. But my life is fantastic. I don't boast about it because it's a mystery to me. And I will just tell you one other thing. Oh no, this is a bit of personal. No, there's a decision. My wife, Stella, we were talking about something about a wonderful cinematographer, Dante Spinotti. We'd made a film together some years ago, and he'd been photographer on the film that I directed and wrote. And he, as a favor, he asked me if I would be in his son's film, Ricardo's film, just a small part. And, well, he's been very busy and I can't do it. So anyway, a week last Friday, we went downtown. We went to, we had the date day. We went down to the large one, had a Greek food, and she did a lot of shopping, as she loves to do, and I followed around like a good husband. And she said, "You are being a very good husband today, a henpecked husband." I said, "Well, how do I get B+, maybe A+." That's the joke we have. Because I hate shopping. But she loves, I go shopping with her. She wants to buy everything. I don't know why she buys so many things, but anyway, she does. And I find it funny. And she said, "Well, you've been a very good husband today." I said, "You know what, I want an ice cream." And she said, "Okay." So we drove back. We were going through the Palisades, and we stopped at this yoga bar. And as we got out, there was this woman sitting at the table. And Stella said, "That's Marcel Spinati." I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "They've been writing to us asking if you'll do the film." I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" She said, "Well, you were too busy." I said, "Well, let's do it." So I said, "Hey, Marcella, how are you?" She said, "Hey, Tony, would you be in the film?" So I was in the film last week. Did a small part. But it's led on to something else, which is another bonus for... But it's those sort of things that just by chance, by saying yes to something, instead of saying no all the time, we're so used to saying, "No, I don't want to do that." Do it. I say, "No, I don't want to do that." Nah. Just do it, because that's life. Say yes to life. I'm sure at the end of it all, whatever runs this universe, I read something some old guy said, maybe it was Woody Allen or something, said, or somebody said, that whatever the divinity is, whatever God is or is not, whatever it is, whatever supreme intelligence runs this thing, maybe there's a question, I gave you the earth to live on, why didn't you enjoy it more?
That's so true. And I told these guys earlier on, you gave me one of my favorite quotes in life. And you said this to me years and years ago. You said, "When I grow up, all I want to be is a little boy."
That's it. Yes. Well, I carry in my phone went off. I won't show you it, but I carry in my phone, he's here somewhere. I carry in my phone a photograph of myself as a little kid. 1942, I was 4 years of age, on the beach with my father during the war. That's how old I am. I was 4 years of age, and you couldn't get sweets or candies in those days, but my father was, and we were on the beach. My father was with another guy, and this man gave me a cough sweet, a cough pastel. It's the only sugar a little kid would like. And I dropped it in the sand, and I started crying. And the man said, "Cliff Mathers," I always remember this. He said, "Yeah, there's another one." And I smiled, and he caught a photograph of me. I remember looking down my shoes, that I had little sandals, and I remember that photograph being taken, and I put it in my phone. And I look at him and I said, "We did okay, kid. We did okay. That was a lost child. We did okay. And here I am today." And then I can contrast that with other things. I know we have a very close friend of ours whose sister was found last year in a crack tent up in Sepulveda, beaten to death and dead, 29 years of age. That's the dark side of it all. That's the thing that kills us. But it's all about how we think. We can talk and go to therapy and think about how we think, but the more we talk about it, the worse it gets. We can change our thought by stilling the mind, by quietening down, by taking things easy. And in my outfit, they say, easy does it. Slow down. First things first. Take me a long time to learn that. But I think in those moments of stillness, those moments of decision, we can actually say, this is what I want, this is where I intend to be. I don't know how, I've had a wonderful life, and I hope I go on having many more years of it. But it is attitude, and it is how we think at this moment. If we feel for one moment that we are losing, change the thought. Change it to, I'm winning. And I have sayings, and I talk to myself all the time. I say all kinds of nice, good things about myself, as if they're happening in the present. And that's what I started doing all those years ago. I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm filled with perfect and abundant life. It's none of my business what people say of me or think of me. I am what I am, and I do what I do for fun and for free, because it's worth doing. It's all in the game, the wonderful game, the play of life upon life itself. Nothing to win, nothing to prove, nothing to win, nothing to lose. No sweat, no big deal. There are no big deals, only life itself.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, let's give it up for Sir Anthony Hopkins. I'm going to let 3 students really quickly ask you questions because I promised they would. Come on down, you guys, real quick.
You see how Californian I don't wear socks. I've become a real Californian, look at that. Where am I? Yes, okay.
The microphone's right there.
Hello, thank you for being here.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Nicole Vandervoort. Thank you. Yeah. How do you separate real success and fulfillment from financial wealth?
How do I what?
Separate real success and fulfillment from financial wealth.
How do I define it?
Yep.
Yeah, how do you seek real success and passion in your life rather than the money, basically?
Well, if you chase the money, it's not going to work. And if you chase success, it's not going to work. You just have to believe whatever image you have of yourself, whatever you want to be. You say success or wealthy or whatever you want to be. It's difficult to say. You have to have an image in yourself of what you want to become, but live it as if it is happening now. Act as if you are already there, and it'll fall in place. I don't know how the mystery works, but if we act as if it is already there, there was a great act as if, William James says, act as if you already there are those things that you desire to be. As we think, so are we. And that's called intentionality. I think, sometimes, I've done work because they offer me good money. I say, okay, let's do it. Have some fun with it. But don't take it too seriously with it. Just do what you have to do. But if we set up to say, oh, I've got to have this, I've got to have that, it will go away. It'll never happen. And I know the people in it's a very tough business I'm in, the acting profession, and I know lots of young people who want to be in it. And I say, shape up. Don't think that you can wander around. You have to work hard at it. You have to be very disciplined. Whatever you choose to be, I don't know what you want to do when in the future. But whatever it is, whatever you seek, and don't talk about it too much. Talk about it to yourself. I remember sitting in the National Theatre years ago, hundreds of years ago, and they'd all be, and I was the loner sitting in my room. And I never said anything to anyone, but I thought one day I'm going to be out of here. Now, I had nothing against the people I was working with. I just didn't fit in. So I didn't, and that's a very strange dilemma for someone who doesn't fit in. But you have to work with other people. But something in me kept going. I thought, one day, and I used it with anger, one day I'm out of here. But act as if you already are those things. Whatever they are, keep that image in your mind and it'll happen.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi, my name is Juan Rodriguez.
Hi.
I was asking, how would you say that the acting industry has changed throughout the years in your experience?
How the acting business has changed?
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess it has changed a lot because now everything is highly corporate and I don't really have an answer for that, but I know it has changed. I talked to my agent once, and he said, oh, it's changed so rapidly, you can't keep up. These huge combines like HBO and Amazon and these great corporations with them, billionaires and making decisions, what little I know, I don't want to step out of line here because I don't know, but there are rumors that it's changed so drastically. I was on something recently where directors are pushed around by producers, by the big corporate powers. And I wouldn't like to be in that position. And I know one director who was really feeling sore because whenever he made a decision as a director, somebody else would take it over and take it from him. And I said, how do you live with that? He said, I don't know. I said, well, get out of it. Become an independent film. I don't know. I don't have any answers. I know that independent films are probably one of the ways. But yes, it has changed radically.
I'm gonna jump in here and
I
tell.
was just going to say one thing.
Go ahead.
I think something that has happened, and no, we're living in the reality age now. You know, you can be famous for nothing. If you look beautiful, or you can do this, you can do anything. You can be famous, or you can just get on your phone and become famous. I think there's a downside to that. And I say to anyone who wants to be an actor, for example, it's not you say, oh, hey, cool, man, let's just, you know. I know a couple of guys, they think it's hip and, you know, cool to just slop around saying, I'm going to be a movie star. I say, oh, yeah? How are you going to do that? When you're just hanging around, you're too lazy to learn your lines. It takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of determination, it takes a lot of muscle power to become an actor, to really do it. And there's a great payoff, because the more disciplined you are, the more powerful you become. And I'll give you an example, and this is not blowing my own trumpet, but I went back to England to do King Lear. The British way of working is different to the American way. A, there's not that much money, and there's not that much big power, star power. But what they do, and I worked with people recently on this King Lear, they're very professional, they all know their stuff. And I determined when I was going to play this part to learn every single line of Lear. So much so, over and over and over and over, till you drive yourself mad until you get there, so you know it so fully that when you go into the rehearsal, you go onto the film set, whoa, and you're unstoppable. And I know you showed that Hannibal Lector thing. I remember when I got that part, all those years ago, and my agent phoned me, said, there's a wonderful film called Silence of the Lambs. I said, okay, what is it, a children's story? He said, no. He said, the part of a Hannibal Lecter. I said, okay. So I read about part of it, and I phoned him up. I said, I don't want to read anymore. Is this a deal? He said, well, I'm not sure. I said, I don't want to read anymore, because the part is so good. I don't want to be disappointed. He phoned me back an hour later. He said, Jonathan Demme is coming into London to see you tomorrow. I was in the theatre at the time, and I got that part. But what I learned years before that is the discipline, because it does take discipline. Nothing is for free. I think that's the problem we live today, that everyone thinks, oh, I'm owed this, you owe me this. I want to be famous. Okay, well, fine. I don't know how you're going to do that. But it takes discipline. It takes tremendous energy. It takes aggressive, arrogant energy. These are all buzzwords that we are frightened of. Yes, you have to be egotistical. You have to have power. You have to have that power of drive. After all, we're going to be dead one day, but you have to have that power of drive. And to show up not knowing your stuff is deadly, and it's embarrassing. And I've worked with people like that. They don't know what they're doing, but they have an attitude. Like they don't talk to the film crew because they're special. And I said to one of them, I said, who do you think puts your stupid face up on the screen? The props guys, the cameraman, the makeup ladies, everyone. You don't do it yourself. Wake up. That's all I say. There's a wonderful book, and I would encourage you all to read it, I'm going to sell this book. Dorothea Brand, she wrote a book in the 1930s, and it's called Wake Up and Live, Act as If It Is Impossible to Fail. It's a book you can get, you can download it, or you can buy it in book. I don't think bookshops are open anymore, but you can buy them. Wake Up and Live. And to answer your question indirectly, am I running out of time?
No.
No. To answer your question directly about how to change. Dorothea Brand was a journalist. She was content with her life, but she was unhappy, really, because she couldn't finish things. She couldn't get it together. Something happened. She just was disappointed. And she read a book by a man called Myers. It's all in her book. And she came across this one little thing. I don't know if he was a hypnotist or a psychiatrist. This is back in the 30s. She came across this one, act as if it is impossible to fail. It changed her life. She wrote 5 books within 2 years. She went on lecture tours. And she would give examples of people who would say, you know, they're all around us, and God bless them, I don't know, maybe, well, we all know them, I've known them myself, and people say, so how did it work? Yeah, well, it didn't work out, maybe it was meant to be. Yeah, it's okay, I'm happy. Oh, really? And you examine and listen underneath, and you hear the hatred and the bitterness and the anger, and they hate success. But it's not a fault, it's not a, but it is, we have that in us. Wake up and live. Act as if it is impossible to fail. Awesome. And that's what I did when I was a young kid.
And you know what else I want to add? When you say, how has the acting world has changed tremendously. But to your credit, you've done something in the product and industry world you've created a category killer. Your brand is so strong, there's really nobody competing with you. Like, if somebody writes a part in a film that's a character like you're pretty much going to get it. There isn't another actor out there that can do what you're doing. And if you were a dental product, you would be a category killer in the dental world.
Thank you. Well, that's it, because then I come back to the boss, my wife. Because every so often I say, what do you mean, I complain about something, because I'm only human. But she said, stop that. She said to me, how do you expect, do you realize you've just done this and you've just done that and you did that last year and you got a brand here and you did
She's amazing. I love Stella.
I said, yeah. She said, who do you think did that? You, dummy. I said, yeah. She said, well, you did. So I fall back and said, yeah, well, she said, you did it. Or some power within me that got me here, destiny or fate, whatever it is, gave me that so-called power, or that power, whatever it was, that put me there. And I've just turned 80, I'm going to be 81 in December. I've got an art show in Hawaii. I've got a concert next year, maybe in Moscow and the Leningrad, I don't know. But all these things happen. But the movie industry has changed. And now it's being taken over by the great conglomerates. But did you all meet Mark Wahlberg yesterday?
Oh, they loved Mark. Mark was great.
Yeah,
yes.
Mark was one of those.
He worked with you.
Yeah, I worked with Mark, and he's one of those guys who's so motivated. He's in bed by 8:15 every night or so, and he's got, he's always on. He works out every morning, and he's there on the set, and he's got his own brand of plans
Hamburgers
and discipline.
and water.
Yes, all that.
And everything. All right, we're going to do one last question quickly.
Hi, Anthony. I'm Angus from Australia. And I was just wondering, you've had such a diverse range of characters that you've played in your life, from Silence of the Lambs to The World's Fastest Indian, two of my favourite movies. I'm just wondering, once you've got the role and before you're about to shoot, how do you immerse yourself in those characters' lifestyles? How do I immerse myself in the characters? Just learn the lines. But it's true, because if the lines are all method actors or something, how do you get into the part? Well, you just work and work and work, and go over and over the text as it's written. Whether it's King Lear or Hannibal Lector or World's Fastest Indian, just go over it, prepare it. In the preparation, as Hamlet said, the preparation is all. And from the information within the text, you get all the information you need. So people say, well, how do you play a serial killer? I say, I don't know, just learn the lines. And make a couple of little switches here and there. How do you play a man who's mad? Play him sane, totally sane. Good morning. You're not real FBI, are you? Things like, hello, Clarice.
That's awesome.
But if I say, hello, Clarice, good morning. You know what you look like to me with your good bag and your sheep shoes? You look like a rube, well-scrubbed, hustling rube. That's more frightening to anyone, especially behind a glass case. The tarantula, ba-ba-bum.
It's awesome.
I am a 10.
There you go.
Then you do it again. What is it?
I am a 10. I walk like a 10. I talk like a 10. And I always do.
I always do.
What I ought to do. When I ought to do it. No debates. Because I really am a 10.
That's fantastic.
You're a 20.
Thank you. That is fantastic.
All right,
Thank you so much.
We're going to go out and take a few photos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
He's got it. He's the boss.